Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be discussing different types of straps you could put in your wristwatch. Now, these are called a Zulu strap and a NATO strap. Now, I originally thought they're all the same, but there's key differences between these straps. But the most important similarity of these two straps is, I'll demonstrate with my NATO strap, it's one of the most secure way you could hold a watch to your body on a strap. Now, traditionally, these were military, they have a military origin, so a lot of military officers use these straps in military combat in the field. So the event of, I'll demonstrate how these connect to the spring bar. So in the event one of these things, they're called spring bars, and they're little pins that hold the body of the watch to a bracelet. Now in the event one of these spring bars get dislodged or break, the watch, I'll demonstrate by sliding it out of one of the spring bars, the watch is still connected to your wrist like that. So that's the whole point of the function of these straps. It's very, very secure. So if you lose one spring bar, this other spring bar is independently connected to that strap. Now on a traditional watch, I'm wearing my Citizen 5700, where the bracelet connects to the watch on two separate spring bars. If one of the spring bars break here, the watch comes apart and you can lose it in the field or whatever, or on the road. I assume in military combat it's a little bit more extreme. Now in 2019, these are a bit more fashion than function. So someone looking to buy one of these most likely is not a military officer or looking to, go fight a war with this. But that's why it's kind of important to know what you're getting with these. So we're gonna take a closer look and discuss the differences between a NATO and a Zulu strap, and kind of how to put it on a watch and how it makes the appearance of a watch. Either you can improve appearance or change it up. Now, sometimes these are bought to dress up a watch, like in the case of here, or you could dress down a watch where you can make a watch that's more formal, look more sporty. Now, one of the key differences between a NATO strap and a Zulu strap is the strap quality. Zulu straps tend to be thicker, more durable, more outdoorsy, whereas NATO straps tend to be thinner, more dressy, less rugged than a NATO strap. You could see this specifically when you look at the metalware on the watch, on the straps. Now, the Zulu strap usually have matte finish, rounded, heavy-duty buckles and rings. And this is a 5-ring Zulu strap. You also have 3-ring Zulu straps where one of these rings, where the rings on this side are missing and the strap basically just passed through the spring bars without this extra piece here. Now, a lot of these straps have this extra piece here, as you see there. I'll go into that in a minute. Now, the NATO strap have more polished metalware and buckles, and buckle there. And this is a 4-ring NATO strap. NATOs usually have 4 rings, and usually consider the buckle or one of the rings. I kind of don't want to do that, so I'm going to say this is, for purposes of this video only, this is a 3-ring NATO. And NATOs usually tend to come like this. There's no other version of a NATO. The Zulu is a little bit more diverse, where you could just have that, just the 2 buckles here and just no buckle on that side, or just the 2 buckles here. So you could have a 4-ring Zulu or 5-ring Zulu. But that's not, I don't think that's important when you consider purchasing these. The straps all come in different patterns, and they tend to be nylon or cotton fabric for the straps. And that means it's gonna be fast drying, very durable, very resistant to tearing and ripping. Now my NATO strap here, the beauty of a NATO strap in that it's thinner, it's a thinner strap. So what you could do is you could just pull it right out of the watch here. You can't really do that with the Zulu strap because the Zulu strap is really thick there, but you can see how it passes through the spring bar there, and then you would connect this extra flap like that. And I've had this Zulu strap for a long time. I had this for about a year. See, it's kind of worn there. And a lot of the weaknesses of these straps tend to be where the holes are punched. Sometimes the holes aren't punched properly, or it's a cheap punch, and the holes tend to rip into the next hole. So something you have to look for. Another thing when looking for these types of straps is you want to make sure that the buckles are stitched on, the buckles and rings are stitched on, and it's not glued in right there. So you want to look to make sure it's stitched there as well, because what will happen most of the times if it's glued on or pressed in, it'll pretty much come apart like that. But a nice firm stitch means that it's going to be very secure. So all the buckles in this are stitched on, which is one of the ways it's being held to the watch. So you want to make sure that it's stitched on. So with the NATO strap, it's real easy to switch between straps on your watch body. You do not have to remove the spring bar. You could just get a new strap, get a new NATO strap, and then slide it through your spring bars like that. So it's real easy to put on and off of a watch. Now the downside of that is not going to be as durable as your Zulu strap. So you may tend to be replacing these a lot. But in my opinion, I think the NATO straps here tend to be more dressy and more formal. So you might want to use this more, these types of, whatever color or fabric you get, might want to use it more as a dressing up of the watch. Whereas the Zulu strap, you might want to dress down a formal watch. So that's kind of how I would look at it. So I'm going to get a little closer and show you guys how these are put on the watch. So here we have our watches. So you have different types of watches that you might want to put a NATO on. A watch like this, a formal dress watch with a leather strap, is fairly easy to take these straps off. The metal bracelet watch is a little bit harder, but I'll show you guys how to do that. So things to have nearby, a measuring tool, not necessarily that, but you definitely will need one of these watch tools. Sometimes when you buy a NATO strap, I bought this one on Amazon for $12. It came with this pin. You're gonna need this to replace the straps. I bought this one on Amazon for $8, and it came with this pin. So they usually tend to come with a watch removal tools. But I have my own, a heavy duty one that I keep at home here. So basically what these are, like little forks to dig out the spring bars. If you have a metal watch or a bracelet that's kind of hard to get off, you might want to get a safety pin nearby. I'll show you guys. I can't even open that. Safety pin, what safety pin will do is tend to remove, like if you have buckles like this, you can remove a buckle easy with a safety pin. A watch like this, the safety pin would work to remove this thing, which kind of helps open up the straps because it gives you a little bit of room to get the spring bars off. So that's why I like to have a safety pin nearby. Sometimes if you do get a watch tool, like this watch tool did not come with an extra thing there, extra bit there, but this one actually came with a little kind of like exactly what that safety pin did. It's like just a little needle there, like a little point to open up the watch. So let's put that to the side. Now we're gonna take these off. I'm gonna start with the leather bracelet because the leather bracelet is easier. So I'm gonna use my little fork tool here. Put that to the side. Also, for some weird reason, all my NATO straps came with extra spring bars. So don't throw these out. Keep these in case you lose one because they tend to, like, if you release it, it could go across the room and you won't see it again. So let's just get this open. So I'm going to get my fork and I'm going to stick it in between there. I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see better. I got my zoom function now, my new Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. So I'm going to stick my fork right in there. And the spring bar comes right out. I don't know if you guys see that. Sometimes these spring out, so just keep that in mind. I'm going to remove that from my leather strap. Put that to the side there. And put that there. I'm going to do the same on this side. Like I said, this one is fairly easier than the steel one. So I'm going to keep digging. Don't worry about scratching it. Sometimes these don't really scratch the lugs of your watch. So you could be careful. You don't want to be reckless with it. But I've never had my lugs scratched by one of these things, surprisingly. So with that off, now I'm assuming you didn't buy your NATO strap yet or your Zulu strap. You could use a measuring tool like this, as a watch, a caliper. And I'm going to set it to 0. I'm going to measure the space between my lugs here. And that's in inches. But I want milliliters, so I'm going to change that over to millimeters. Sorry, I've been getting a lot of flack for saying that wrong on my channel. So I'm going to open this up, and it's measuring 20 there. So I know I'm going to go online now. I'm going to find a strap that's going to measure 20. And I got one here. I bought this. And that's how I figured out what size strap to get. Now, most watches are 22, 23. You get some big diver watches with 24 lug width. And to put the strap on, the Zulu straps are thicker. So you want to keep that in mind. Sorry, I don't know if you guys could see. So I'm going to sort of just keep watching because I don't know how to explain what I'm doing. So I'm putting the spring bar back in between the lugs once the strap is in there, like that. So that's what I mean. Like if one spring bar fails, the watch is still connected to your strap. And that's why these straps, the functions of these straps are a bit of a value to servicemen in the military, as well as people in outdoors that do stuff in outdoors. So your watch is usually going to be connected to the strap that's tied to your wrist. So like I said, just keep watching. I do not explain what I'm doing. So I'm just squeezing the spring bars back in between the lug. Now, most watch shops will charge you about $5 to do this, maybe $10. So once that's secure, you're going to definitely check to make sure your spring bars are secure back in. And I'm going to make sure that's on. So that's your Zulu strap that's on your watch. There's different ways of using these buckles, these extra buckles on the 5-ring Zulu. Believe I saw someone, you could do it like a loop around to get it more secure on your watch. I think I'm doing that wrong. So there's different ways of wearing these with the buckles, just to give you an idea. So Google that. I'm not sure. I usually wear it like just that regular way there. Now the metal watch is a little bit different in that metal bracelets usually have either solid end links, or hollow. This one's hollow, so it's space in there. I believe what I've seen someone do, you could bend these back to access your spring bar, but I haven't had to do that. So I'm just gonna bend that back there. I've never had to do that. Normally I could access the spring bar with a really thin one of these guys, these removal tools. And this one is a little trickier, but I'm gonna start on this side. So I'm gonna do this and I'm just gonna pause the video because it's gonna take me a long time. So basically you're just doing the same technique, but you have to get in there to the head of the spring bar. And your tool, this tool is gonna have to be really, really small. They come in different sizes. So you're gonna have to get maybe the smallest of these tools to get in there. Because if this was a solid end link, this would be really, really tight to get in there. So I'm gonna get in there and I'm gonna pull it out and dig it out. And what most likely these steel bracelets tend to stick on there, even if this one side of the spring bar is loose. See, that spring bar is up there, but this one is still in, so the bracelet is still secure to the watch, which is a good thing, which is what you'd want in case the spring bar does break, but you're gonna have to play to get that loose like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the other side, and because I'm putting a NATO strap on this, what I could do right away is just put the spring bar back in the lug, back in between the lugs, because my NATO strap is gonna slide right in there without the need for to put like I did with the Zulu strap. So yeah, and this is really slippery, guys. So I'm just gonna kind of push it back in there. I don't know if you guys could see, and then I'm gonna hear it snap. So it didn't go in. I'm gonna pause it and so it's in. Secure, make sure it's very secure. I'm not sure where that spring bar came from. That's so weird. Oh, I know what that is. That came from the bracelet here. So I'm gonna do the other side and come back real quick. All right, guys. So again, I wanted to show you guys, same thing happened on that side. One side came up, but the bracelet is still stuck on the watch. So I'm gonna just play around with it until I get that spring bar. I might use a broad end to just pluck that out. And keep in mind, these could go flying across the room, so you want to be careful they don't go flying out. So like again, I'm going to put this spring bar in. I'm just going to slide my NATO strap right in there. I hope you guys could see. That's the beauty of my phone. I get a zoom feature now. When I first started shooting YouTube videos, I think I had a Nikon Coolpix camera that, if you look back at some older videos, you can see how bad the resolution is on that camera. And I was like a $500 camera back in 2004, I want to say. So my spring bar is on my watch. But it's amazing what my point is being that my cell phone could take really, I think there's a 4K video I'm shooting here. It might not show 4K on you. So that's it. And the NATO strap goes right on there. Like I said, once you have the first NATO strap on there, if you want, you could go out and buy more of these. They slide right in there because the fabric is thin. It looks really good. And I think this dresses up a sporty watch, whereas a Zulu strap would sort of dress down or make a sporty watch out of a formal dressy watch. In fact, I know one thing I did say earlier on, I just realized that my NATO strap, my Zulu strap here is actually thin enough that it could go through the lugs there, the lug pins there, the spring bars. So that's it, guys. That's how you would set up your NATO and your Zulu strap on the watch that you have now. So guys, before I go, I can't end this video without showing you how these things look when you wear them. So I'm going to start with my original Zulu strap. So where you put it on is very simple. Is get that buckle in. It's very simple. It's a very comfortable strap. It feels like a t-shirt. You're wearing a t-shirt in your wrist, whereas a leather strap or a metal strap might feel, by comparison, like body armor, like armor of a knight, or like a leather jacket. This feels like sort of like a t-shirt. It's very comfortable, very casual. So that's how it looks on my wrist. So with these Zulu rings here, what you could do is you could tuck it back like that to secure that strap a little bit better. There, like that, or you could flip it up like that. There's different ways of wearing these. You could Google to see different ways of how people wear their Zulu strap. So that's really good. It's very secure. It's a fabric against your skin, so it feels really nice. And so many colors, like this is the Gucci print color. I really like that. I get a lot of compliment on this watch. People assume it's a Gucci Speedmaster. I don't know, people are weird. My NATO strap here, I just recently got this strap this week in commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the moon landing. Omega actually has a Wally Schirra watch that they sell in New York here on Fifth Avenue, right over there. They sell an Omega re-release of this with this bracelet, and it's the first watch in space kind of commemoration bracelet. And the bracelet, I think it's like, the watch itself is like $6,000 or $7,000, and a bracelet on its own is like about close to $1,000, I think. But I bought this for $12 on Amazon, and it's the same exact bracelet. Anyway, so that's how the NATO strap looks. There's not much you could do with the rings. The rings are polished and more square. They don't really have much of movement on that ring. But this, I believe, this type of strap, this NATO strap, dresses up a sporty watch. So I have my Citizen chronograph there, which looks like a Speedmaster a little bit. But it dresses up with the watch a little bit, which I like. So that's kind of how these things look on your wrist. Now, that's it for this edition. I'm trying to do more of these sort of do-it-yourself kind of informational videos. People seem to like them, so I'm going to keep doing them, as well as more BMW stuff is coming. And when it gets cold, it's mid-August now, I'm going to get some new Barber material in for you guys, because that seems to be a big popular thing on the channel, the Barber jacket. So these are my Zulu and my NATO chronograph straps. Really like these, guys. All right, great for the summer as well. Like, it's a good summer thing to have. All right, guys, see you in the next one.